Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Jai Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sadikaur Bhaktavinda. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutali Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaur Vani Pacharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshtarane. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna. So, um, we have had a lot of recently wonderful dates which have been commemorated, and devotees have made excellent presentations about those. Today, we are talking about today's Srila Prabhupada's Sannyas day, that the day then when he took sannyas ashram. So, as we know that we are able to read all this, Vedic literature now so easily because of the grace of, His divine grace, says Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And, he's one of the Shaktivesh Avatar, we say that, and it's not possible for just any ordinary human being to achieve what he has achieved in his lifetime. And we see that how Prabhupada, throughout his life, he was kind of preparing for the time to follow his Guru Maharaj's instructions. So Srila Prabhupada, he was born in 1896. And after that, he initial life, it is said that he kind of followed the path of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in a way, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we know, he in his early, part of his life, in early Leela, he was he acted more as a scholar than actually in Bhakti Yoga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he was such a great scholar that at that time they used to have these kind of debates. So whoever knows things well, they would try to prove their point, and they will state a point and try to prove it. And even at a very young age, Nimai Pandit, that is Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, called later. So he used to be very good at this, and he used to make a point, and he used to make it so nicely that everybody would be convinced that he is making the right statement, and he'll put his point so nicely. And then after everybody else was convinced, he would refute that point. So he would give then arguments why what he said earlier was incorrect. And he would make everybody believe that. And everybody is, yeah, that's right. He's actually has a good point. He is telling everything that makes sense. And that statement is not right. And when everybody was convinced that the statement is not right, he would now give statements again, which would say no. But because of this, and reasons, the original statement which I made, actually that is correct. And again, he will convince everybody, all the great, people who were there, who were in the debate and listening, they would agree to him. They will have to agree to him because he made such good points. So he's a great scholar. So in his initial life. So Prabhupada similarly followed similar footsteps in the way that Prabhupada was a wonderful scholar initially. In 1922, he graduated, and he graduated in English, philosophy, and economics. But he actually refused to take the degrees, accept the degree, because at that time he was also influenced by Mahatma Gandhi and the movement for independence. So in this context, it is also said that, when the independence movement was going on, he had actually very, in Lilamrita, it is described how he had a lot of interactions with Mahatma Gandhi, and he used to finally, he got convinced that the real independence is of the soul from this material world, and not just from the British dependence. In this context, another thing comes to the mind is when Subhash Chandra Bose came to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, who is the Guru Maharaj of Prabhupada. So he came to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj and said, you've got all these young, people who have so much energy. You give them to me, and I will make India free from the Britishers. Okay, so very strong statement, right? What Bhakti Vedanta Saraswati Maharaj said. He said, you have got so many these young people under your influence. You give them to me, and I'll free them from this material world. Right? So profound. So he didn't have any answer to this, so he went away. But yeah, so that ways, Prabhupada also realized that just getting independence from the Britishers was not enough. We need to really nurture our soul, and there are so many people, so many souls who are lost in this world and under the influence of Maya, that we need independence from Maya and this material world. And Prabhupada was able to, through his efforts throughout his life, he was finally able to follow the instructions of his Guru Maharaj. And his Guru Maharaj, actually, he met the first time he met Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. He was actually just, he didn't want to go to meet him because he had seen a lot of sadhus and other people like this who were cheaters. And he didn't have a lot of faith at that time in gurus like that. So, but by grace of Krishna, one of his friends almost forced him that, no, this one is different. You need to come and listen to this Maharaj. So he went, he listened. And when he was listening, at that time, first time, he was at the back. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj gave the instruction at that time that you are young boys, you know English well, you should preach to the English speaking world, to the Western world. So this was, he hadn't met Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj as yet. He hadn't, taken him as guru or anything. This was just the first meeting, and that's how the guru knows the what can we do, what we cannot do, and guru knows that what is the purpose of this life for us. So like this, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj instructed Srila Prabhupada right at the first meeting as to what his goal of life should be. And interestingly, he was not the only one to whom this instruction was given. This instruction, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj knew that it is very important to give this instruction to the Western world. And thus he had given this instruction to a lot of other his followers also. But those followers were unable to follow the instructions completely. And Prabhupada writes, like after Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj left his body, the Gaudiya Math actually was very much disintegrating. There was a lot of fights between the some of the god brothers, and a lot of little small mutts were being formed. People not practicing things very well. Sadhana was not as good. Some were cheating, had cheating propensity and were cheating other people. Things like that were happening. So Prabhupada was in a grihastha life. He had, he's a grihastha, and he had, he was married, and he had 3 kids, and during the grihastha life, there were some situations which came just before passing of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, a week before he passed away, or he left his body, I should say. Prabhupada had written to him, to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, that so he had already accepted Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj as his guru in 1933. And then in 1936, before passing of, before Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj left his body, a week before, Prabhupada wrote to him and said, Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj was also called as Prabhupada, that's a title. So he said, Prabhupada, what can I do for your service? How can I serve you? And at that time also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj gave the same instruction that, preach in the English language to the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was ordered at that time again. But at that time, Prabhupada felt that he was not ready. He was in Grahastha life. He felt like, how can I do this? I can't take sannyas, I have so many responsibilities, things like that. And he didn't feel that he would be able to follow the instructions. But he took it to his heart that he needs to do this. And he thought at that time that he will first, get some money, become a rich man. And then the other instruction Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj had given Srila Prabhupada was that when you get money, print books. So that was the other instructions. One was that preach in the English language to the Western world, the message of Lord Chaitanya. And second was that when you have money, you should print books. So those were the things that Prabhupada had taken to his heart from the orders of his spiritual master. So at that time, Prabhupada said, when felt like he could not take sannyas, he felt like he had so many responsibilities, and he needs to get some money, and he'll get rich, and then after that he will be able to print books. So he was materially also very very good. Like he had his graduation he had done in English as well as economics and philosophy. So Prabhupada, he had a very good business mind, and he had a pharmaceutical business which was running very well at that time. And so he was in the Grahastha ashram running the business and everything. And then by Krishna's special mercy, Prabhupada says somehow eventually the business actually did not work. So, there's fire or something. So the business it caught fire and he lost everything. And Prabhupada says this is how the pure devotees, they take anything that materially seems to be negative also as a special mercy of Krishna. Just like we read in Bhagavatam how Narad Muni, when his mother died, he only had his mother to take care of him. He was only 5 years old. And at that time, when his mother died, Narad Muni said, this is the special mercy of Krishna that I have nobody else to depend upon now, only Krishna. So that is how pure devotees take these kind of things. So Prabhupada at that time took it as, okay, so now this is a sign that I need to get out of the material life a little bit and follow the instructions of my Guru Maharaj. So he started in 1944. He started Back to Godhead magazine. Prabhupada had been trying earlier also. He was in Jhansi. He tried to form what is called as League of Devotees, but it didn't really work. And then finally, in 1944, he started publishing Back to Godhead magazine. He was earlier in Vrindavan. He stayed a little. He stayed and he was helping edit one of the. He was helping edit one of the magazines that was coming out. He was edited for that for a while. And then Prabhupada, from when he was there he was he finally left the Grahastha ashram in around 1950. He took Vanaprastha ashram in 1950, and he went to Radha Damodar temple, Vrindavan. Vanaprastha ashram, there was like he was having many problems in Grihastha life in terms of, his wife was not supportive of Krishna consciousness much. It is said, at that time it was very difficult to get paper. So Prabhupada used to still, get paper and write down the manuscripts. He had a broken typewriter later on, but he used to, make manuscripts and keep them. And one famous incident is when his wife, one day he had gone out to uh, talk and preach and arrange for books, and his wife actually traded his manuscript. He used to be waking up at 2 a.m. and writing all these manuscripts for Bhagavatam, and she traded those manuscripts for tea. So she, in that time it was more like barter system. So you can give, the old, newspapers and stuff, and in return you'll get something. So like that, she gave all his hard work of all those manuscripts away. And for what? For tea. So when Prabhupada came and he heard this, he was like, "What?" So that's the famous, quote that is there, that you want tea or you want me. And it was Krishna's arrangement or what, but it was chosen as tea was chosen over Prabhupada, and Prabhupada left after that. His kids were a little older. They were, they he had made sure that they are taken care of, and the wife was going to take care of them also. And so he took Vanaprastha ashram, and then he decided that now it's time that he can focus more by Krishna's arrangement on following the orders of his Guru Maharaj. And he decided to, intensify the activities of doing preaching and writing books. So they were, he had started. He was already a very well-known months. After going to Vrindavan, he was already pretty well renowned over there, because he had been publishing books. He had been this magazine, and he had been editor of one of the magazines for Gaudiya Math earlier. So he was already known, and people already used to call him as Bhakti Vedanta. So that title was already there by that time, and he knew, the priests and the senior people in the temples in Vrindavan. So he went to Vrindavan and started, in Vrindavan, in the Radha Damodar temple, they were one of the biggest compilation of the works of the Shad Goswamis at that time. So he went over there and he started working on those, and he started putting them in English and doing the works, so that he can do the translation of the works of Rupa Goswami and Shad Goswamis, and he started working on those at that time. Now, after that, when he was doing that, it is said that one time Prabhupada says he had a dream, and he has had that dream in the past also, that his Guru Maharaj came in his dream. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj came in his dream, and he was walking ahead of him, and he was asking Prabhupada to follow him. So he had got this during his married life, or during his Grihastha life also, but at that time, he didn't feel that he was in a position to follow. So now he had already renounced his family, and he was already, his mind, body, words were all already submitted to Krishna. So he felt that I need to, my Guru Maharaj is giving me the instruction now to follow him and take sannyas. So he took it as an order and as instruction that this is the path being showed by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, like that he should take sannyas. And he was a little confused a little bit that whether to do that or not. But he said he took this as the sign that now he has to take sannyas. The Guru Maharaj has come and it's time to follow his instructions of also going to the Western world and preaching. And for preaching, again, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also didn't need to take sannyas, right? He had taken sannyas more because some of the subordinates or other people were not taking him seriously. So for preaching or for having other people pay more heed to your word, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas so that people would obviously then, because he was young and older people also give respect to sannyasis and pay more attention to the word of sannyasis. So that is the reason Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had actually said that in this Kali Yuga, we should not be taking sannyas. He had few things Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had suggested. And one of the things was that in the age of Kali, sannyas ashram is nishedh. It's one of the things that should not be done. And the reason is that because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that there are so many cheaters and people who would take things for their own sense gratification. If they became sannyasis or sadhus, people will follow them. But these people in the age of Kali or Kali Yuga, would take undue advantage of these, the general people, and they will, follow their own, sense gratification and misuse the sannyas ashram. So that is why he had said that it's not for this age of Kali. In Kali Yuga, we should just chant Hare Krishna, not take sannyas. But it is, if somebody is really eligible to take sannyas and is really like a Goswami and has control of the senses and does not have cheating propensity, then it is said that should take sannyas. And that is, Srila Prabhupada was already, by his mind, body, words, his actions, he was already completely surrendered to Krishna. And he felt that this is, his Guru Maharaj's instruction now by coming in his dream, that he should follow him in taking sannyas. So he decided to take sannyas. So when that happened, who to take sannyas from? This is in 1959 now. And in April of 1959, he said, okay, if I have to take sannyas, I should go to the Gaudiya Math, right? I'm from Gaudiya Sampradaya. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, this is Guru Maharaj, this is Diksha Guru. And so he said, okay, I have to take sannyas now. So he went to Gaudiya Math and he approached Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj at that time. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, who was his god brother, and he is the leader of Chaitanya Math in Calcutta at that time. So Chaitanya Math is basically after a lot of things in 1948, finally, 49 had taken over the main Math over there, and he was the leader of the Gaudiya Math at that time. And Prabhupada felt that, okay, if I have to follow the orders of my Guru Maharaj and go to the Western country and spread the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then I should first approach Gaudiya Math, and it's a more authentic organization. You'll have a backup of that, and people will understand the word also well. And sannyas ashram, people will take more seriously also if I take sannyas. So he approached Bhakti-Ras Tirtha Maharaj, but at that time Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj told Prabhupada that yes, you come and join us, and you'll be, taken care of very well, because he was already known in the circles. Everybody knew that he's Bhakti Vedanta already. He knows the scriptures very well. He's excellent in translation and everything. So he was great in English, Hindi, Bengali. Everything was very high class, and he had produced a lot of some of literature already by that time. So he said, yes, we'll give you a special room. We'll keep you very, you'll have a special place here. But right now, first you have to come and join the Gaudiya Math and become a part of the Math. And then the Gaudiya, the higher authorities in the Math will decide when they have funds as to when you can publish books. And then, because right now they were doing some translations of the Shat Sandarbhas, and that was the more focus at that time, and they had limited funds. So with limited funds, they said, you come and join the Gaudiya Math right now, become part of the society, and then as we have more funds available, the time comes, we will support you in printing the books. And then further, if we have more funds later on, then we can even support you to go to America for you to follow the footsteps of or the orders of your Guru Maharaj. But Srila Prabhupada understood that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj is not wrong. He's saying right from his standpoint. But at the same time, the priority for Gaudiya Math at that time is not to help Prabhupada to publish books or to go to America. And he did not want to be in a situation where he's restrained to publish books, because that was the primary order of his Guru Maharaj. He wanted to write books and publish books, and he wanted that to be his primary focus, and then go to America and spread the word, or at least try. Other of his god brothers had already tried. Some had gone to Europe, and they had actually gone with said thousands or even lakh of money. At that time, it was a lot of money for 1 lakh rupee, even lakhs of money they have gone, went to Europe, but didn't really work out. And so it was a big deal to kind of be backed by an organization and go. And it didn't seem like Prabhupada would be able to do that if he joined the Gaudiya Math at that time. So Prabhupada then decided to, do something, go a different way. And then he approached Bhakti Pragyana Keshav Maharaj in Mathura. So he was already known to him because he had already been working in the Math in Mathura, in the Gaudiya Math. He had already stayed there in the past, and he was helping edit some of their manuscripts of the magazine at that time. So he was also his god brother, and Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj is again a very exalted personality. There are many instances I learned actually just preparing for this little bit about him that I didn't know earlier. But he was a very wonderful devotee, and he understood the heart of his Guru Maharaj, which was Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said. So some of the instances I would quickly try to tell about him, because I didn't know much about him earlier, but I think it is talking about Prabhupada's sannyas won't be complete unless we glorify or talk about Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. So like one time it is said, like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj was being condemned by the Brahmins at that time, that he is giving the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to non-Brahmin people, and a lot of them were against him. So one time he was going for Sankirtan, and what these Brahmins did was they went to the top or the roofs of the buildings, and they decided we are going to throw stones at him at the Kirtan party. So what did Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, what he did? He actually before leaving, he kept Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj in a room, locked him in a room, said, give me your clothes, give me your sannyas clothes and wear my clothes, give me your, the specs and all that. So forcefully, he almost took the Veshbhusha or the clothes and, acted like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, so that he himself took on all the stones and bricks being thrown, and then so that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj could be safe. So, and then finally, when he reached, they reached back to their meeting place. Later on, he came to the temple and he said, Guru Maharaj, I'm sorry. He was like hurt. He got hurt with stones and everything was bleeding. He said, Guru Maharaj, I'm sorry, I could not give my life for you. So that was his bhav. He was so completely devoted to his Guru Maharaj and his instructions. Another instance it is said about him is, when he told one time, so Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj told, there was one element in the temple who was causing a lot of conflicts, a lot of problems. So he said to Keshav Maharaj that throw him out of the temple, take him out of the temple. I don't want to see him in the temple. So after that, Keshav Maharaj himself was not seen for a while, but that devotee was still in the temple, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. So it happened that, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said, how come, where is Keshav Maharaj? I haven't seen him. I told him to, put this person out, but this person is still here and I don't see him anymore. So find out. So the other devotees went and found him. He was living outside somewhere. And they held him by his hand and brought him in front of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. That, Guru Maharaj wants to see you and talk to you. So he said that, this person, I gave you this job to put this person out and he's still here. So he said, so what did Keshav Maharaj say? He said, Prabhupada, I could not put him out because I knew that you're telling me today to throw him out of the temple, but if I push him out of the temple, you are going to feel bad that a jiva, a soul came to me in the human form, and I could not deliver him, and he had to go out of the temple. So you will not be happy, and I can't see that you are not happy. So Prabhupada said, yes, that is right. You understand my heart. That is the right thing. But tell me, why are you not in the temple anymore? That is one thing. That person you could not throw out of the temple because they understand. So I understand that. Okay. But why are you not in the temple anymore? He said, Prabhupada, how can I stay in the temple? You gave me an order and I could not follow the order of my guru. So I have no right to be in the temple. So that was, how great Bhakti Pragyan, Keshav Maharaj, his personality. So there are many other such things, but due to time limitation, I'll move ahead. So Prabhupada, so A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, at that time was, Bhaktivedanta Abhay Maharaj, they used to say, or Bhaktivedanta Abhay Babu, they used to call him, because he was not sannyasi till that time. So he approached Keshav Maharaj in Mathura, and Keshav Maharaj immediately said, yes, you should take sannyas. That is very right. You need to take sannyas. But now Prabhupada got confused again. It's like Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj there is telling me in Gaudiya Math, yeah, I should come stay in Gaudiya Math first, and then they will decide whether they should give me sannyas. And here my other god brother, this Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj is telling me I should take a sannyas immediately. So what should I do? So he got a little confused at that time. But Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj, he forced almost Prabhupada that you have to take sannyas. Because if you take sannyas, only then you can start a preaching movement. You cannot start a preaching movement like this. For a preaching movement, people, from the Vedic system is that if you have to start a Vedic preaching movement, you should be a sannyasi. That's a requirement. And people will listen to you more and you will be able to follow the instructions of the Guru Maharaj better by doing this. So he almost forced Prabhupada at that time. And then Prabhupada felt, well, my Guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj is speaking through my God brother. He felt like that. And it's my Guru's instruction that he wants me to take sannyas at that time. So Prabhupada went there back to Mathura, and then he agreed and he took sannyas. And at that time, finally in 17 September 1959, he accepted sannyas along with there was another devotee who took the sannyas the same time by Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj. His name is was Sanatan, and he was given the name of Muni Maharaj, the Sanatan. And then Prabhupada was given the name of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So that's why Prabhupada, in some of his literatures, he used to write, and he was, sannyas in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is 3 Dandi sannyasi. So Prabhupada used to sometimes write his name as 3 Dandi sannyasi, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, because that was his name given, Prabhupada. So that is the kind of story of how Prabhupada took sannyas. And he recalls it many times. He has a lot of lectures when he recalls his how he took to sannyas. And he has written very nice poems, and he has written actually very nice tribute of like a verse for Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj also, in which basically is saying that just like when when somebody who's ill and is diseased, can't take he doesn't want to take the medicine. He doesn't know what is good for him, and he doesn't want to take the medicine. Just like that, I was not ready to take sannyas. It was the right thing for me, just like a diseased person needs to take a medicine, but does not want to take the medicine at that time, but later realizes how good that medicine is for them when he is cured. So just like that, at that time, he forced me, being a devotee, they are like wishing, Vancha Kalptarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavane, Vaishnavibhyo Namo. So in that mood, Prabhupada remembers taking his sannyas, that he, as like a wishing tree, he fulfilled all my desires and gave me sannyas and forced me to get sannyas. Just I was diseased by this material world, and even though he was already renounced and in vanaprastha, but he still was forced to take sannyas kind of. And by Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj, he remembers him very, very fondly, that that he gave him sannyas ashram. And from there on, Prabhupada then started, then felt it like this is it. Like this is the indication that my Guru Maharaj has given me. Now I've even taken sannyas. I have to follow his instructions. I have to. Earlier, I used to keep having these, something or the other holding me back, and but now I have no excuse. I have to follow my Guru Maharaj's instruction. I have to spread the name of Krishna, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Western world, in the English-speaking world, and I have to print books. So he started writing Bhagavatam, translating Bhagavatam, and he wrote 3 cantos of Bhagavatam before finally getting on the Jalduta, and the rest is history. That's it. So Hare Krishna, it's 9 o'clock. I will stop, but that's what I had to share. Please forgive me for the mistakes that I may have committed, for sure. So Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you so much. So nicely shared. 3 times Hari Bol for Nirbhay Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Prabhuji, did you mention like where you got most of the information? I'm sorry, I missed it if you did.
So Prabhuji, most of the information is from Lilamrita and one of the lectures by Amrendra Prabhu.
Okay,
so
thank you.
Lilamrita has a section in this, and then I have about, I got a little bit more about Bhakti Keshav Maharaj from Amrendra Prabhu's lecture.
Hare Krishna, very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Anybody has any questions for Nirbhay Prabhu?
So, Prabhuji, my question is, जो प्रभुपाद जी को जिन्होंने संन्यास दिया था, वो भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव महाराज जी थे, because by the time he took sannyas, I mean, by that time, Saraswati Maharaj was not there. I mean, he was not, he already left his body, or he got the sannyas from the other Swamiji, which Prabhuji mentioned.
So yes, Mataji, you're right that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj left his body in about 1936. And then Prabhupada's A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada's sannyas was in 1959. So many years later, and he was kind of preparing his consciousness for the blast that was going to happen eventually in the world of Krishna consciousness. So Hare Krishna movement started later on. So 1959, Prabhupada took sannyas, and then in 1966, I think, he went on Jalduta. And 1965 may have been, and 66 was when ISKCON was created, was registered. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions anybody has for Nirbhay Prabhu? Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji. So we'll conclude. Chant Hare Krishna mantra 11 times, all of us together.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to learn. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for inspiring. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.